Hello, it's good to see you. Today we are going to be looking at the tools and equipment that we're going to use to route out the places on a new door to place the hinges on the door so it can be attached and used. This is something I've never done before, and we're going to look at everything together and then we're going to do it. It's very exciting. I have to thank my dad because he gave me some of this stuff to do this with. And I get to keep it. That is really cool. I get to keep these items. So it's called mortising. Never heard of that term before, but we have some things here. The first thing my dad gave me was this clamp. Look at this. Now this is a very old clamp, but my dad is very handy. And he has lots of things like this lying around. He has a machine shop and a woodworking shop. And he gave me this. So if I needed something to hold the door, this would work. So what I've done is, I've taken the old door off the hinges. And I'm going to take set the old door down lengthwise on the floor upright. And put the new door right beside it. And I can use the clamp to help hold them together so I can measure and figure out where to route it out to place the hinges once the door is ready to be hung on the frame. So this clamp, you can tighten it up. You see this swivels. These are made of plastic and they swivel. They swivel a little bit. And you just adjust it. You can go just as far as you want. You could just push it a little bit and you can bring it all the way to here. It goes pretty far. You see? It goes all the way to right there. So if you had a really skinny door, you could do that. This clamp is remarkably versatile, and of course I can use this for other projects after we finish this one. So that's really good. Okay, the next thing I have is this kit. This is the HingeMate 200. Personally, I would have named it the HingeMate 2000 because to me that sounds more exciting. I don't know, it just pops more than HingeMate 200, but it's not my company. And every time I see this, I think it says Minecraft. It actually says Milescraft. So this thing throws me off. But this thing is really brilliant. It includes templates and a router bit. So I want to show you here, you can get a better picture of what we're going to be doing. So when you get a door, you don't have this area here. You have to carve it out so that when the hinge is attached to the door, it's flush with the door. So you're just kind of hollowing it out a little bit there where you want to put the hinge, as you can see. And then when the hinge is attached, it's going to be nice and flush. And it even comes with the little router bit, which you can see down here. And it includes different types for different types of hinges. You have 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, and 4.5. So that's really great. It contains the hinge templates. Every template needed to route hinges, and you can see some of these examples on the back here. It has a steel template frame. It has a durable steel frame with adjustable tabs that allow for settings of 1 3/4 and 1 3/8. So this is sort of an all-in-one kit here. It's pretty inclusive. We have everything we need. Now I don't need the router bit because I have a remarkable variety of routers, and we're going to look at those in more detail in just a little bit. It's really neat. So I thought this would be very useful, especially since I've never done this before. I wanted to make sure I did it right, and I thought a template would be the best way to do that. So there we have the HingeMate 200. The next item may not be necessary, but my dad thought it wouldn't hurt to have it. And it's a lot like me. It's an old square. Look. This was hanging on the wall in my dad's woodworking shop. He had a wide variety of squares. This was one of the first ones he picked up. It's so old that a lot of the numbers and measurements aren't really visible anymore. But it's nice if you want to make sure you have it nice and square. Could also be a good weapon if needed. It's very heavy and very solid metal. It's really great. So he thought this might come in handy when lining up the door, the old door and the new door, before using the router. And remember, you always measure twice, cut once. Measure 3 or 4 times if you need to, but that way you only have to cut once. So here we have an old square and this thing. And this next thing is kind of cumbersome, but it's wonderful. This is a router. Now it doesn't look too exciting. It's actually really fun to play with. I practiced with this in my dad's woodworking shop. He just took an old board and you have this little bit right here. Here's the bit, and you can adjust it. You can make it go far, you can make it come farther down, go further up, to adjust the depth that you're routing out in the wood. So you can make it deeper if you need to, or a little more shallow. This is just one of the bits. Now this does come out. You have a little chuck here and you just use your little wrenches. And he showed me how to do that, to remove it or to loosen it so you can adjust the height. And up here is where you adjust the height. You can see the measurements. And here's where you hold it. You have these 2 handles on the side, so you have really good control of your router while you're using it. You can hold it like this, and you have this plate here. It's dirty. I didn't bother cleaning it because it's going to get even dirtier in a little bit, and then I'll just clean it all at once. But you have this plastic on the underside. You have this flat plastic plate. Now this is going to rest on whatever you're routing out. So it's going to rest on the side of the door where we're routing out the place for the hinges. That keeps it nice and level, so you don't have to worry about it tilting or anything, because it's going to rest flat on the surface of the side of the door. And you just move at your own pace. You can go very slowly. You're going to control the speed at which you work. And that's the on-off switch is up here on the top. You see, it's just on and off. There are no speeds or anything. It's either on or it's off. This is a Craftsman Professional 4.5 amp router, and my dad had 2 routers, and this belonged to someone that gave it to him, didn't need it anymore, so he ended up with it, and he said I could keep it. So when this is all over, if I ever get bored and want to mess around and route something out, I can play with my router. So, and here's the cord. It has this nice dirty cord on it. It has a film on it, but up here you can see the little vents, and that's where it vents to keep cool, kind of like a hand mixer. It's kind of like a hand mixer, only different. So let's take a look at all of the bits. You won't believe all the bits we have. So here we have the bits for our router. They're in this little wooden box. It's very nice. And my dad gave me this too, along with the router. It was very, very nice of him to do that. This is a box by Grizzly. Here. And it's amazing to see all the bits. We have a little clasp here. We're going to put that back, flip it open. The underside of the box has foam to protect the bits. Look at all the bits. Oh my goodness. There are so many bits. We could do any type of routing we want to do here. Now this one is missing because we actually have that one in the router right now. It's a 1/4 inch straight bit. And here's another one here. It's just in here. He stuck some stuff in here. We have some wrenches in here. That's to adjust the bit or to take it out. We also have a little packet of desiccant. This is silica gel to help control, any kind of moisture that might get in here. We're just going to leave it in here because I don't imagine I'm going to be messing with it frequently. So I want to make sure it's all right. Now I'll tell you what all these bits are. Now there are some just lying down in here, and I don't know what they're called, so we're just going to leave them in there. This one is quite heavy. Look at this one. Boy, that's a specialty router there. Just put that down. Now this is a 3/8 inch straight router, a little bit here, and it's quite sharp on the edges. Let's see if that will fit back in there. Well, it does. And here we have the 1/2 inch straight bit. Well, it's really in there, but you can see it's larger. So these are straight. That's a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch straight bit. These are dovetail bits. And here it shows you on the box what you're going to get when you use each one. So you don't know what you're looking for. If you wanted to do a dovetail design, to cut out the wood in a dovetail shape, like you're going to see on the inside of drawers on older pieces of furniture, you're going to see dovetailing like this. We have a 3/8 inch dovetail, 1/2 inch dovetail there, and this one is a 1/4 inch panel pilot. That's a little pointy one there. And you can also do a 3/8 inch keyhole, a 1/2 inch 90-degree V groove, and it shows you the little V groove there. A 3/8 inch round nose, it's rounded on the end there. And we come down here, we have a 3/8 inch flush trimming, a 1/4 inch rabbiting, 7/8 inch and a 1/2 inch internal radius, 5/32 inch Roman ogee, that's a shape there, 1 inch by 7/16 of an inch 45-degree chamfer. Here's a really fancy one. Oh my goodness, look at this one. This is a 13/16 of an inch edge beading. And these are really firmly implanted in there, and they're sharp, so I'm not going to try to take it out. Here is an R 3/8 inch cove, and it just sort of scoops it out a little bit. 3/4 inch classical plunge, R 3/8 inch radius round over. So it's going to just make a rounded edge like that. And this is a 3/4 inch fingernail. I have about a 3/4 inch fingernail on some of my fingers, but I wouldn't want that to take a hold of my finger. That would probably hurt. But it just does a little, it's kind of rounded out. So you have a nice variety of bits here that you could use, and I don't imagine that I would ever use any of these. I'm probably not. I'm not really into woodworking or anything, but you never know. So I'm going to keep this with my router. Now we're not going to be using any of these bits in this little project. All we need is the 1/4 inch straight bit right there. That's it. But it's nice to know that I have all of these other bits to go along with the router. It's a nice little set to have. It was an unexpected surprise. It was very sweet of him to give me that. Now, we are going to be doing this work inside, and from my experience with playing with the router, it does kick up a lot of sawdust, so you're going to end up with just sawdust. So I have two options. Well, three really. I could take everything outside and do it outside, but it's not really that much sawdust, so that seems a little excessive, taking the door outside. I'm not going to do that. You're not going to make that much sawdust. Or I could just let the sawdust fall on the floor and then vacuum it up, which is fine. Or I have this plastic sheeting that I used while I was painting the doors, because I painted them inside. And I just put this, it's just a plastic drop cloth. And I just put this, where the door was to protect the carpet. And so I could actually put this under the door while I route it and then just gather everything up while I'm done, and that way I won't get any sawdust in the carpet, which would be great. So I may use this, I may not, I may just not worry about it, but it's certainly an option. So that is a possible tool that we could use in this process as well. And now it's time to look at the instruction manual and all of the pieces and parts that we get with the HingeMate 200. And you have a little parts list here. You have, let's see, one steel template frame right here. And it gives you instructions over here. You can turn and pull these little knobs for different settings. 1 3/8 inch door all. 1 3/4 inch door hinge only, 1 3/4 door plate only. And you're going to set both sides so it's going to be level. And it shows you that this side goes to the door and jamb front right here. So it's just a nice metal piece, and you're going to use this regardless of the size of the hinge. You also have a 1/2 inch router bit with a bearing. This is part number 1, and here we have a picture of part number 2. That's the router bit, but we won't be needing that because we already have one. Number 3, then you start looking at the hinge templates. So here's the first one, and these are plastic. The first one we have here is a 4-inch hinge template right here. It's very nice. It says that we should have a 4.5 inch hinge template. I did not see that in there, but it's okay. We don't need that one. This is the one right here that we're going to need. This is the 3-inch hinge template, and it's rounded. Here you can see that. This is the part that we're going to be using right here, this rounded part, and it's 3 inches. I already measured to make sure. So this is the one that we're going to actually use. We also have a 3.5 inch template right here. And these just nest down inside that metal little frame there. And finally, I have a 2.5 inch hinge template, little small one there. So right now, we're not going to need these. You also have 2 mounting screws right here. Now these go into this metal frame, the template frame. You can see a hole here and another one over here. So once you figure out where you need to place it to route out the part of the door, take these 2 little hinges, these 2 little screws, and you're just going to screw it into the door to hold it in place. Get these positioned where they need to be. And after that, that is when you're going to take the plastic piece and you're going to fit it down into here. It fits very tightly. So it fits down in there and it gives you the area that you want to route out. So it looks pretty easy. Alright, so those are all the parts that we get with the HingeMate 200. And apparently there are different types. There's also the HingeMate 300. That one comes with even more templates, but we don't need that. It comes with more specialized templates, I guess. So it tells you here about the package contents. You want to unpack all of the items and check with Figure 1 and replacement parts table. You want to make sure that all items are accounted for before discarding any of the packing material. I'm going to double check, but I didn't see the 4.5 inch template. I'm really not going to worry about it. I don't need it. Here we have some hints, and here it gives you some figures to show you what you're going to do and how to position it. If the door jamb has an existing stop, or if the stop on the door jamb exceeds the height of the template frame, you will want to create a shim or spacer to accommodate the additional height that you will need. See image 1. Please be sure that the router bit will still properly ride along the inside of the hinge template after your spacer is in place. It may be necessary to remove the thickness selector assembly from each end of the metal frame to permit a deeper location of the frame. Image 2. This will eliminate the automatic parallel alignment capability of the metal plate, so you must measure carefully to be sure the distances to the holes are correct before attaching the plate to the door or jamb. Be sure to reinstall the thickness selector cam assemblies to the metal plate when the job is complete so the parts do not get lost. I am definitely in uncharted territory. This is something I've never done before. Let's see here. We're going to flip it over to the back and read the instructions from the start. Alright. How to use the HingeMate 200. And here we see the knobs. Okay, select the thickness of your door using the thickness selector knobs on the steel template frame. And that's those little knobs we are looking at on here. These little plastic knobs. So you're going to select the thickness. Then next thing you're going to do is you're going to select the hinges on 1 3/4 inch doors. Select for strike plates and latch plates on 1 3/4 inch doors. Position the steel template frame on the edge of the door or the jamb. See image 2. Slide the steel template frame back on door or jamb until the thickness selector cam rests against the door or jamb. Number 3. Number 4, you're going to insert the template into the steel template frame for the appropriate hinge. Be sure the appropriate style for your hinge, square or rounded, strike or latch plate is over the mortise you will route. Rotate the template to achieve different radii. A corner chisel can be used to create a 90 degree angle. Number 5. Measure from top of door or jamb to the centered tape measure tab of the template. Measure to the appropriate dimension found in the Easy Measure Guide on page 4 of this manual. And as a hint, when using square corner templates, chiseling will be required. So you'll have to get those little corners there. Alright. So that's just a look at the instructions. And we're going to go ahead and get set up. Here you can see the old door. It's already been routed out. You can see what it's going to look like when we're finished. It has little screw holes in it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to route out the new door right here the same way. Just going to have this cutout area and it's going to look just like that, but on the new door. So what I've done is I've grabbed a pencil and I've marked, and it's way off in this video. But don't worry, we ended up not needing that mark at all. My dad came to help me. But you can erase it. Doesn't matter. This is the way I was originally going to do it and place the template right there. But I discovered I could not find my drill bits to place the template. But here's the template. We have the little template in the little metal frame. We ended up needing the 3.5 inch template. I measured again, which I'm glad I did. It was actually the 3.5 inch template. And here we have the placement of the template with my dad's little cordless screwdriver. And here we are routing it out after we have placed it on the new door. It's a very quick process for each hinge. You just run it along until you've removed everything from the area inside the template. Here is a better view of it. My dad is routing this one out. We're outside now because it makes a lot of mess, and so we decided to do it outside. But you can see how the little router moves along and cuts it out. We ended up using the drill bit from the template kit because it had a bearing in it and fits better in the template than the one we were going to use. And it cleans it out very easily, very thoroughly. And this is a planer. We ended up having to cut the doors down a bit. 3 of them had to be cut. We did all of that outside as well. So here we just run the planer along. My dad did all of the planing. He's better at it than I am. The bagger on the side was not positioned correctly, but it doesn't really matter because a lot of the dust just goes everywhere. And this is a little manual planer from Dunlap. It's a vintage planer, but it works great. You can adjust the depth or the, how much you're cutting. But here he's just trimming the edges of the door after planing it. The edges are very rough. So he's going along and you have these little fuzzy pieces in there. And then sometimes, as you can see, you get little shavings from the door stuck in the planer. So he grabbed his trusty little pocket knife to clean out the planer. You just kind of stick it down in there and you can just kind of poke the shavings through or dig them out like that. It's very simple. It's not a self-cleaning planer. So yeah, it takes a little effort, but this little manual planer is brilliant. It's so good at cleaning off the edges. Or if you just need to cut a little bit off, you can use it that way too, but it works great to cut the edges. So it's awesome. So it just runs along. You can see the little string of stuff that's coming off the door. But it's so smooth. It is so nice and smooth after running over it with the planer. It's such a simple little thing, but it really makes a difference. Here's a close-up of it. You can see what the edge looks like after the planer is run over it. This side is still rough because we haven't done this side yet. But the side that the planer has run along is very nice and smoothed and finished. It looks great. So now, after we've cut the doors, planed them, and routed them out, we're ready to screw the doors back into the door frames, just like that. Just put some screws in the hinges. This was the downstairs bathroom door. That was the first door that we finished. So we're just putting it in there. Now here is a closer look at that manual planer, and again it's by Dunlap. You can see that it has two handles. This is the front here, and it has the little name on it, Dunlap. It's mostly metal, and it has wooden handles. This is the one that you're going to grip at the front of the planer. You can see it's very worn, has a gentle slope down to it, and a screw in the top of it to hold it onto the planer. A flathead screwdriver would work with that. And here's the back handle. It's ergonomic. Look, and you can see how it slopes the way it's made. The top of the planer is metal up here. It is adjustable, so you can cut as much or as little as you like. I'm not sure how old this planer is, but it's very easy to hold and use, whether you're right-handed or left-handed. And then if you pick it up, it's pretty heavy. On the underside of the planer, you'll see right here is the blade. I'm not running my finger across it. I don't want to cut myself, but the bottom is very flat. So it's just going to lay flat on the surface that you're planing. It has a nice slick design to it. It flows very well, as you can see. It's a very simple but a very effective tool. I had never used a planer before we started this process. I wasn't familiar with them at all, but my dad let me borrow this one in case I needed to adjust them. And here is the adjustable knob on the planer to move the blade up and down as you need to. And it's a very handy little item, and I got to use it some more on my door, which you're going to see in just a moment. Okay, this is my door, and I needed to do a little bit more planing because it was sticking in the door frame a little bit. Turn the planer at an angle and just make little strokes up keeping the planer at an angle, it works better. You just take a little bit off with each pass with the planer. And it does remove the paint, but I'll just have to repaint that part. But it was sticking right up at the top in the door frame. Not bad, but it was just a little bit, and I wanted to just plane it off a little bit. So there, we got that. And here is the attic door, and you can see we had to do a little cutting on it, but we got it to fit, and it's a nice fit. Isn't that wonderful? Look at that, and they all fit this way, and I am so happy with my new interior doors. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this little project. I certainly did. I've learned a lot. I never knew how to do that. I never even thought about how you do that. So I learned something, and I always enjoy learning new things. And I hope you enjoyed it too. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon.